Do you remember the Alamo? Truth be told, I didn't really. It was just kind of one of those things that you briefly learned about in high school.
All right, pause, rewind a little bit. This extremely nice Texas Ranger here is about to put a little ruffle in our plans for this video.
Okay, so it turns out I can't actually blog at the Alamo. I was told by a very nice Texas Ranger. So everything that we're going to be doing in this story is going to be in compliance with their standards. So I don't have a ton of footage, but don't worry, I'm going to fill it in with tons of really cool historical photos, some really cool knowledge, etc. And a little bit of footage that I did get. It just won't be me talking to camera as much, which might be a good thing, I suppose. We'll see. So hello and welcome to the Rock Record. Let's talk rocks. Today I'm here in San Antonio, Texas. I am here for the annual Women in Mining USA conference, which I'm super excited about. But while I'm here, of course, I cannot resist the urge to do some geological exploration. So today we're learning how a simple limestone not only built a lot of the buildings here in San Antonio, but changed the course of history.
So I'm going to be really honest, and the Alamo has never really been on my bucket list, and San Antonio has never really been on my list. It is actually my first time here. But in March of 2025, geologists here made a discovery that got this historic site onto my geotourism must-visit list. They found the exact quarry that supplied the limestone for this iconic structure, and you'll never guess where it was hiding this whole time. I'm Jess, a geologist and geo-traveler, and today we're uncovering the story literally written in stone at one of America's most famous landmarks. So since you may not remember the Alamo right now, let me give you a little bit of history of its significance. The Alamo began its life as Mission San Antonio de Valero, established in 1718 by Spanish missionaries. It wasn't actually built here initially. The mission moved to this current location in 1724 after a hurricane destroyed the original buildings. Construction on the stone church, what most people recognize as the Alamo today, but is actually only part of the Alamo Complex, had the cornerstone of the chapel laid on May 8, 1744. The original chapel suffered a structural collapse in the mid-1750s, and reconstruction efforts began in earnest in 1758, but were never completed. Today, the Alamo is most famous for the battle that took place there. The Battle of the Alamo in 1836 was part of the Texas Revolution, in which the Mexican state of Tejas won independence and became a self-governing republic, Texas. According to the self-guided tour I took here, there's no one reason that caused Tejas residents to forge their own path so soon after Mexico had won independence from Spain, or why the Alamo and its famous defenders were in the thick of it. The whole Texas Revolution is actually fascinating, and I highly recommend a visit to dig deeper into it. But what I find most fascinating as a geologist is not just what happened here, but what this place is literally made of. These walls tell a story that began millions of years before any humans set foot in Texas. The Alamo is built from local limestone that was formed during the Cretaceous period, about 100 million years ago. Back then, Texas looked nothing like it does today. This entire region was covered by a warm, shallow sea, home to corals, clams, and other marine creatures. As these organisms died, their calcium-rich shells and skeletons accumulated on the seafloor, eventually compressing into the limestone we see today. We've talked a little bit about this process in the marble quarries of Carrera video, as well as the beaches of Hawaii video. So if you want more details, check those out. But there's a geological plot twist in San Antonio's story. The limestone here isn't just randomly scattered around. The city sits right on the Balcones Fault System, a massive fracture in the Earth's crust that slices right through San Antonio. About 10 million years ago, this fault popped up, elevating the Edwards Plateau nearly 2,000 feet above sea level. So on one side of town, you have the high, upthrown Cretaceous limestone of the Edwards Plateau. From on the other, you have the flat, lowland sandstone and mudstone of the coastal plain. This geological feature not only shaped the landscape in the city, but would later determine where quarries could be established to extract building stone. All right, here's where it gets really interesting and why this place suddenly got a spot on my geotourism bucket list. For centuries, historians and geologists have known that the Alamo is built from local limestone. But the exact quarry location remained a mystery until now. In March 2025, just a few months ago, an incredible discovery was made during excavation work at the San Antonio Zoo. While digging the foundation for a new gorilla habitat, construction crews unearthed large amounts of limestone. This prompted further investigation, and through extensive geological testing and historical research, experts confirmed that this quarry was the primary source of the stone used to build the Alamo Church in the 1700s. Think about that for a second. Generations of San Antonians and millions of tourists have visited both the Alamo and the zoo without realizing the powerful geologic connection between them. The exact stones that didn't make it into the Alamo have been hiding in plain sight this whole time. The testing was conducted by Highbridge Materials Consulting, who compared limestone samples from the Alamo structure to the layers excavated at the zoo site. The geological composition matched perfectly, confirming that these sites share more than just San Antonio heritage. They share the same bedrock. Get it? So, why is this discovery significant? Firstly, it gives us a more complete picture of how natural resources were used in colonial construction, which is really fascinating. But secondly, this is really important for conservation work happening at the Alamo currently. We'll talk more about that in just a minute. First, let's dig into what made this particular limestone so special that Spanish colonists chose it for their most important buildings. Let's take a closer look. The Alamo is primarily built from Austin limestone, which has some distinct characteristics that made it ideal for construction. Unlike the Edwards limestone found elsewhere in the region, Austin limestone is not as hard and it isn't riddled with solution holes, making it easier to quarry and shape into building blocks. If you look closely at the walls, you might spot fossil fragments, remnants of marine creatures that lived in that ancient Cretaceous sea. These fossils aren't just decorative, they actually contribute to the limestone's unique properties. Historic buildings often tell the story of local geology in their walls because those early pioneers didn't go very far to get building stone if they could get it nearby. After all, that was a lot to carry with not a lot of technology. The Alamo is a perfect example of this practice, using what the local landscape provided to create something that would stand the test of time.
The geology that gave us the Alamo isn't limited to one site. All across the city, you can see sites with similar stones that gave San Antonio its unique look. If you're visiting the city and want to see more limestone up close, one of the best spots to visit is Brackenridge Park, where the Japanese tea garden that is stunning is actually built against the backdrop of an old quarry. So the Spanish quarried Austin limestone here in the 1700s, and the city of San Antonio actually turned this into a really cool public park as part of a beautification effort of this area. So we know I'm a sucker for really cool opportunities to turn quarries like this into vibrant public spaces. We've seen it with Evergreen Brickworks, one of the videos there, and a few other tours that I've done. So really just a stunning spot.
Without this geological good fortune, the combination of workable limestone, natural springs, and fertile soil, the Alamo and San Antonio itself might never have existed in this location. So standing here, almost 300 years after construction began on this limestone church, I'm struck by how this building connects us both to human history and geological time. The limestone walls of the Alamo have witnessed everything from Spanish colonization to the famous 1836 battle to modern tourism, but they began forming millions of years before humans even existed. Now back to the importance of this quarry discovery. The stone masonry of the Alamo Church is deteriorating due to crystallization of soluble salts and by expansion and contraction of clays embedded in some of the stones. Both deterioration mechanisms are enabled by the movement of water and moisture vapor in and out of the masonry. Because of this, throughout the site, you'll see lots of moisture monitors. These are a series of sensors and data loggers that were installed in the church to understand the interaction between soluble salts and moisture movement. I actually totally nerded out over this. I just think it's so cool. But because of this deterioration, the Alamo is currently undergoing a $550 million redevelopment project that is scheduled for completion in 2027. This includes critical preservation work on the original limestone structures. The discovery of this original quarry site is especially significant for these conservation efforts, as it helps preservationists identify compatible materials for any necessary repairs. This connection between the zoo quarry and the Alamo also reminds us that geology isn't just ancient history. It's an ongoing story that continues to reveal new chapters. Even in a place as well studied as the Alamo, the rocks still have secrets to share.
So the next time someone asks you if you remember the Alamo, you can tell them about more than just the famous battle. You can tell them about the ancient seabed that became limestone and how millions of years of Earth history came together to create an iconic piece of American heritage. I hope this geological journey has given you some new perspective on this historic site. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of The Rock Record. If you enjoyed learning about the geology behind the Alamo, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more geological adventures. Until next time, keep exploring the stories written in stone.